Hi everybody. I just feel minded to speak about something that's starting to worry me, not worry me, but bother me rather, and that is this dangerous rise in the rewriting of history when it comes to COVID, even on the mainstream media level. I was struck by something Peter Hitchens, this libertarian balloon, who occupies so much of our media space for some reason. He's got a Daily Mail column or a Mail Online column, and he's a regular pundit, invited onto BBC and GB News and all these other mainstream platforms to give his views on the events of the day. But he's someone who's been banging the COVID denialist drum from the get go. He railed against lockdown. He believed that it was a panic response to just another virus. And on question time, just passed, referring to the state of the economy, he cited COVID lockdown as a key factor in that. And he described the approach to COVID as the burning down of the house to deal with a wasp's nest. I find that completely and wholly repugnant. I find it repellent. I find it callous in its cruelty and its disregard for the 177,000 people in the UK who died of COVID and their relatives who've lost loved ones. Thousands of those deaths were unavoidable precisely because the approach to COVID was far too lax at the outset. China, where the virus emanates from, Wuhan, went into lockdown towards the end of January in 2020. The World Health Organization declared COVID a global health emergency, a health emergency of international concern, and then a pandemic in the middle of March. We didn't go into lockdown in the UK until March the 23rd of that year. And it was only a partial lockdown. You may recall the airports were left open. The Cheltenham Gold Cup was allowed to go ahead in the days leading up to lockdown. Football matches were allowed to go ahead, international football matches, European Champions League. I think Atletico Madrid played Liverpool at Anfield, and thousands of Spanish fans came over for that at a time when Spanish football had lockdown. There was a lack of PPE. Hundreds of health professionals died in the opening months because there was no PPE or it was inadequate. They were on the front line. They were exposed to this virus. Many of them migrants, given the way that migrants have been demonised and are being demonised in our political discourse today, which adds an extra dimension of calumny. We lacked ventilators. We're scrambling around trying to get supplies. And this is because of the systematic underinvestment and degradation of the NHS at the hands of the Tories. So the point I'm making is that these people who are trying to trivialise COVID 2 or 3 years on are the worst of us. These are libertarian lunatics who don't believe, like Thatcher before them, that there is anything such as a society. They believe we're all atomised, disorganised mass of human dust, and that's every man and woman for himself when push comes to shove. I find this fucking repellent that these fucking proto-fascists get such an airing in our politics, and I relay all this back to Brexit. Brexit has unleashed a carnival of reaction. It has allowed the mainstreaming of racist stereotypes, and conspiracy theory has gone through the roof. And probably one of the worst culprits, and the reason that I feel minded to make this video is that fucking nutcase Russell Brand. He now is got a YouTube channel, and he just had Tim Robbins, fine actor, but so disappointed to hear Tim Robbins singing from the same hymn sheet when it comes to COVID, i.e. what was the real reason for lockdown, the Great Reset, vaccines. I mean, it's off the scale lunacy. You try to tell me that you don't believe in medical science. You try to tell me that when you go into a hospital, and God forbid it happens with a broken leg, that you're going to question the motives of the doctors and the nurses. You're going to tell me everybody who works for the NHS is part of some vast fucking lurid conspiracy to destroy people and to take away your human rights and your freedoms. Every government in the world adopted strict COVID measures to some extent or another. Some of those governments are antagonistic to each other. They all part of the same fucking conspiracy. What fucking lunacy is this? What lunacy is this? We're in an age of unreason, an age of counter-enlightenment, otherwise intelligent people are buying into this nonsense, and I can only ascribe it to the chaos rendered by the chaos of late stage capitalism, where we're living unending crises and chaos due to the unsustainability of this dead economic model known as neoliberalism, which is a corpse that's yet to be buried. And this goes back to the 2008 economic crash. And at that time, that was a key moment in our politics because the centre ground collapsed because it was now unsustainable. Centrism can only be viable in a time of boom because there's enough of the pie to give to all sectors of society. But when centrism collapsed as a result of its own contradictions in the wake of the economic crash, then the battlefield was clear. There was no more fog. It was the ideologically driven right and the ideologically driven left fighting for the right to shape the future. And unfortunately for me, it's the ideologically driven right that won that battle of ideas. Why? Because they're able to persuade working class people that their problems and the chaos that they're living through is a result of people below them on the economic spectrum, not people above them. Because it's an easier target, because there's a human face. Migrants, Muslims, asylum seekers, you name it. Whereas we're talking about more nuanced arguments when we talk about left-wing ideas, about the role of the banks, the corporations, corporate dictatorship that we live under. But there's less of a human face on those. Because why? Because the corporate dictatorship owns the fucking media. So they can control the message to a large extent. But that was a battle that was fought. And unfortunately, the left lost that battle. And the result is the world we're living in today, presented to us as the best of all possible worlds. Anyway, I just wanted to say a few words. I hope I'm not spoiling your Christmas with this contribution, but sometimes the truth is not enough, and only the unvarnished truth will do. Peace out.